Hello there, I'm Adam Forbes. I'm the host of the Corporate Escapology podcast. And today my guest is Ileana Feber. Ileana and I met 2 years ago where we've got a mutual friend and she'd introduced us because Ileana was wondering at that time, should she leave her company? She'd been there 24 years. She worked for Exxon Mobil and she was a specialist in local content. Local content is when a big company like Exxon moves into a developing market and agrees as part of the contract to develop its resources that it will ensure that that industry is independent by the time it leaves. So make sure that the talent has the right kind of skills, the subcontracting network is established, and that the company can operate independently. And over those 24 years, Ileana had lots and lots of experiences and moved out to Russia as an expat herself, moved back into the headquarters and started wondering whether there was a different way that she could use her skills and experience to create more value and really speak more to the purpose that she had in mind. So I'm looking forward to introducing Ileana to you today. Hey, Ileana, it's so lovely to have you with me today. I'm really, really excited to talk to you. How are you feeling today? And where are you, first of all?
Well, I'm feeling excited, energized, happy because I'm in one of my favorite countries. It's Suriname. It's very close to my hometown, my dear country, Venezuela. So I see a lot of similarities. I mean, food, the fruits, the vegetation, and the people. How the people is the most amazing part. Great people, very welcoming, and it's nice to be here. I lost track of how many times I've been here, but every time I come, I say, I love this place. I love this place. The food is amazing.
Food, yeah. And sun, I'm guessing. It's nice and sunny, is it?
Nice and sunny, humid.
Humid, okay.
It's beautiful, really beautiful.
And you're there for an event. Is that right? You're there for this
Yeah.
event?
I came for meetings and also an event that it's of course on local content with a group that it's working on local content and trying to get alignment in alliance and partnerships with all the key stakeholders here because when you do local content, it's not just one stakeholder. It takes a village. And all the villagers need to know about it. So what I'm going to be doing is a workshop, a seminar on supplier development, and so to explain local suppliers, how to work with big operators, but not just for the oil and gas, also for big companies. And
so before we get into the role today, let's talk a bit about the journey that you've had. So I know you as somebody who was at Exxon for a long time, but did you always plan to work in a corporate job? Was that part of as you were growing up in Venezuela, did you see these big companies and the city and think, I want to be part of that?
No, but I had an idea of who I wanted to be, and my dream was I wanted to be an ambassador, a diplomat, and work in different countries in that. So in a way, I end up being that, not working specifically in an embassy, but that's kind of the work that I end up doing. But let me go back when I was a teenager, and I went to a German school in Caracas, Venezuela, kindergarten. And so I was always exposed to languages and foreign people. I was always fascinated with that. And in Venezuela, when you go to the university, you go to the Central University, which is public, and it's really good. It's a really good institution, but they are on strike all the time. So I wanted to study international relations. But the problem is that they're going on strike, so you don't know if you can graduate in 5 years, and in Venezuela it's 5 years when you do a career. So I remember my dad telling me, study something similar that will take you there, and that you have a steady year in experience at university. So I chose to study languages.
Right. Okay.
With in a major in business. But I didn't have any clue that I was going to end up in the oil and gas industry. I thought I was going to be in the corporate world somehow because I wanted to do an internship and give it a try. While I was studying, when I was in the university, I worked for a year something at American Airlines. So that was my first corporate experience, and it was really fun. I enjoyed it a lot. Of course, I traveled, but the environment, the group, and the people, it was awesome. So I wanted to give it a try, and I left my internship till the end of my 5 year
Degree.
program at the university, because I said, well, whatever I do my internship, that's I want to stay in and get a job. So I did that, and I was planning to work for PDVSA. I always was kind of interested in the oil and gas industry because it is huge in my country. So I got an internship with PDVSA, excited and everything, just finished all my classes, and then I left the 3 credits to the end. And the day before I was going to start my internship, PDVSA said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we need to cancel your internship because of whatever." What? So I started calling a lot of my friends, so I called a friend at ExxonMobil, at Mobil, sorry, because at that time it was just Mobil.
Mm-hmm.
And her name is Susana. And I said, Susana, I lost my internship. If you know someone, whatever, I'm ready. Even if I have to serve just coffee, I'll do it. I need my credits. And she said, oh, they're looking for someone here in public affairs and government relations. Why don't you give me your resume? And so I sent it. And the next day I went to an interview. Yeah, you're hired. And not for an internship. It's just, as
It
an
doesn't
employee.
normally happen like that, does it?
No.
Getting a job in a corporate. You know someone, the next day you get an interview, you're in.
Yeah. And so it was good because it was in a group that it was for communications and relationship management, and I had 2 bosses, one for public affairs and one for government relations. So,
and we should say as well, you stayed with the same company. So Mobil was then merged with Exxon, and so you stayed with Exxon Mobil for how many years?
24.
24 years.
24.
That's a little bit shy of a life sentence. So you stayed with Exxon stayed with ExxonMobil for 24 years. And when did you start moving from the public affairs into the local content area and becoming a real specialist in that?
Yeah. Right after a year. And
right, soon.
So, yeah, I started in 98 in the summer. So that full year. And then in the summer of 99, I moved to procurement. Mm-hmm. And it was thanks to my boss from government affairs, Milton Chavez, who believed that, you're going to have an immediate ceiling in public affairs because the group is small and you need to spread your wings. So he gave me the opportunity to move to the procurement group. And that's where it all started. Working with suppliers and understanding how the whole supply chain process work in when you have a need. And I always stayed within procurement group until I left. And I always focus on upstream. So never really did procurement for downstream or even anything for downstream, always for upstream. But it was really then when I moved to the procurement group, and then came the merger. And so with the merger, I was assigned a new role, which was very important for the merger. That was planning and controls analyst. And from the planning, it was a lot of budgeting, the planning and budgeting and understanding, the headcount and all that. Really, really good opportunity. And then from the controls, because ExxonMobil had a different system and different requirements and very strict on the controls, which I think that was the success of the merger, the controls part. And then the mobile part was the fun. So it was a good combination. Anyway, so 3 years I stayed in that position, and I learned a lot in a lot of processes. And I was doing training for our procurement folks on the new acquisition or sourcing handbook and all the procedures. So it was really good in terms of learning. And again, I was formed and mentored and coached by expats. We had a great procurement manager that he left a legacy in me very that I treasure every day. And his name was Diego Silva. He passed away, but he was amazing, and he created a really good group. We have expats from Argentina, from the UK, from the US, of course, and it was really fun to work there.
Mm.
So after 5 years, I decided that I was ready to go and do my MBA, and I try to apply every year, but somehow the universe tell me you're not ready, not yet, not yet. So either I got a more opportunity, or in my role I was being very successful and continue learning. But at some point after the third year of doing the same, I said, I feel like I'm not learning anything more. And I need to do something. And I always dream of going to Thunderbird. I didn't apply to any other school because I wanted that. The T-Birds have a special DNA. You
Okay.
have a love for different cultures, you have a love for languages, and you're a citizen of the world. And that is, your life is going to be surrounded by, global experience and international opportunities. And that's what I wanted. My MBA was not the regular MBA. It was with a concentration on international development.
Okay.
It was
Okay. Okay.
fascinating. And
Yeah.
that was the reason why I wanted to go to Thunderbird, to do
Mm.
that specific program. And so I was thinking, well, maybe this is the time where I should go to the World Bank and that. But really, I had a baby and then
Yeah.
no job opportunities, moving to a new
Mm.
place. I said, well, let's go safe and go
Mm.
back. And that's great. I knew people knew me, and why not?
Yeah. I mean, I speak to people a lot around that. There are times when it is so important that you have that sort of stability that a corporate job can provide for you.
Yes.
You know, you might be excited with all these opportunities, the sort of freneticism of startup life, or living on the edge a bit, but actually it's just not consistent or compatible with the life you've got outside of work, and you need something stable. Not saying you're taking your foot off the pedal, not saying you're just playing it safe, or being easy, or taking an easy route, but actually you just need work to be stable for a while because you've got enough going on at home. It might be a sick parent, it might be having children like it was
Exactly.
for you, it might be I want to study something, or I want to do something that is outside of work that is going to take some time, and I need to know that my 9 to 5 are kind of blocked out, and I'm there when I'm there, and when I'm not, I'm doing something else. And I think a corporate job offers that really, really well for a time.
And it has to work for the whole family. This is something that it was interesting because after getting our MBAs, my husband did his concentration on entrepreneurship, because he said he was very confident in he knew that he was not going to do the corporate. That was not his style. He was not for that. So we agreed that I will do the corporate job, and he was going to be like an entrepreneur, and that's what he
Nice.
did. That
Yeah.
allowed him to be very close to the girls, and of course, I brought my mom to live with us, which
Oh.
helped a lot. And of course, that made my mom so happy. And I have my little Venezuela at home, so my daughters grew up eating the food that we eat and everything. And because my husband Mike also had a background in languages, so he spoke perfect Spanish, and he was in Venezuela, so at home we spoke Spanish.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so my daughters grew up speaking Spanish, and we continue doing that. So, but it was really important for us to have someone at home, and that also allows to some flexibility to to go to Russia. We went to an expat assignment, and we could do it because Mike didn't have to leave any job, and then so it was very flexible in that sense.
Yeah, I mean, and those opportunities, was that again doing sort of local content in Russia? Then had you by then started to major in the local content side of
Not
things?
Not directly. Again, indirectly, even without knowing it, because I was sent to Sakhalin Island to do to nationalize the position, to train the nationals, mentor them, coach them. And so I had like two projects. One that was a requirement that we needed to do in terms of how we contract the workforce, the foreign contractors. But the other side was to, train and help the locals on how to do negotiations, contracting. And at that time, I was in the procurement services group, just services, no purchasing of materials. And that was actually when I had the experience of feeling the rejection to expats. And it took me around 6 months to allow them to accept me and realize that I was there to help them, not to get, benefit. Of course, for an expat, being there, you get the economic benefits and the experience. But as a family, it was very hard on our family, and not really the girls. We went there, and Easy was 4 years old, and Elisa was 2. And so they were very little. They don't remember. And kids are very resilient.
Yeah.
But on the marriage, it was hard because Mike was pretty much forced to be Mr. Mom, and I was working all day and getting tired. So it was tough. I mean,
and it's not like you were near a city or anything like that
no,
for Mike to hang out in. I mean, you're kind of, was it like a compound? Was it almost?
it was a compound.
Yeah.
It was a compound, which you will see. You will think that it's great. Yeah, it's great, but you don't want to live all the time surrounded by the people you work with. And at some point you want some privacy and some independency from the people. But the great thing of that experience was definitely professional. And the group that I had, it was mostly women. And it was amazing. That affiliate was as young and grew up fast like the one in Venezuela. So that's a big thing, that I enjoy working more in affiliates than at headquarters. And it's because you are close to the operations, you're close to the people, and it's different. What you do really adds value, and you kind of have some ownership of what you do, and you have more control.
Did you find sometimes, though, that you felt like you were there just to tick a box, or just to kind of please people? The commercial stuff was what got the deal done, but you had to have this stuff just to make everybody feel like there was some good happening.
Yeah, and that's what I said, that I love more the job that I was doing in affiliates than the corporate itself. The corporate was just a checklist. It was in a way lame because I didn't find any excitement. It was all about checking the box, meeting the requirements. For everything, you have to, get permission to just even speak. And that's something that I don't miss at all, that I own my thoughts and I'm free to say what I want to say, how I want to say it, and who I want to say it. And I think that's what I also love of now being independent.
So let's move to that. So what made you just decide, right, now is the right time for me to leave after these 24 years there, good, successful years of growth, years of opportunities? What made you think now? Because you and I spoke actually maybe in your 23rd year, say, we were talking about this. So it's been something on your mind for a while. I'm really interested both what was the trigger, but also why didn't you move when you first were triggered?
I think one of the pieces of the answer, and I think it's a very important one, is being comfortable, being in your comfort zone. That you can become very spoiled, and we as a humans, we don't like change, or it's hard to make big changes, especially when you have everything under control, your family is good, and then disrupting that, it creates a lot of stress. But when you get stressed by other things, and the stress comes from being there, then it's time to move. And I think that happened to me, but it was not something like overnight. I think it was increasing and increasing. When I
What
started
was
working
it? What was the
directly,
stress? What was the stress on the other side that was starting to increase at the expense of the other side?
I think it was the last year of my job that there was a lot of pressure, and you don't find collaboration within your own team, and then feels like it's better if I'm alone, because you stop trusting people. There was no credibility also on your collaboration, and it looks like everybody was pulling to their own side, and it's I don't and I lost purpose.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
lost purpose because I was told that, yeah, what you do is great, and all the relations for the company, that's great, but pretty much you don't bring any value uh, to procurement, which is where you belong. Um, so that was kind of like a red flag that,
Yeah,
okay, yeah, because
yeah.
that's who you're being compared to, the people that
Mm.
bring the savings of the millions and everything, and then, yeah, even though you do a great work externally, which really uh, is the one that has exposure, um, and that's wrong, because
Mm.
then you add value, but you don't add value, and you're being recognized externally, but not at home,
Yeah.
and that kind of, it's I just started feeling more and more that I don't fit here. This is I'm not
Mm.
I don't fit here. I don't
Yeah.
belong here. And then when you start having that feeling, it's time to move. But it's very scary. It's
I know.
very
Well,
scary.
I'm going to say it's very brave to move because because there's also part of you that's when that's happening saying I don't belong here. But what if I don't belong anywhere? And maybe it's better just to stay quiet and just like hide a bit and hope things change, and then suddenly I'm
Yeah,
relevant again. And actually, the braver thing to do is to do what you've done and say, okay, this is now the time.
yeah. And that's the now you mentioned something, it makes me think about those days that, yeah, I didn't feel I belong there anymore, but I felt I belong to this other part. And this
Mm.
other part was doing the same job that I was doing, which I loved. I mean, the almost 7 years that I was doing this job within my previous employer were the one of the best. And I loved it because I finally found the niche, or what I was meant to do in this world. And it had a name, local content. So
Yeah.
finally. But then I said, okay, I learn, I use my experience and everything, but I think I felt the need to help the other side, the government, the countries, the people, the small and medium suppliers, the women-owned businesses, and that. So it's not that the companies or corporations don't need it, but they have the resources, and it's like, why I want to invite to dinner the people that are really willing to accept my help, and they're asking, can you help me? One thing that is very important, and I value and admire that of people, is when people, organizations, or groups ask for help. Some people get ashamed, or not ask for help because of arrogance. I think it's very humbling, and it's very it tells a lot about a person when people ask for help. And I ask for help a lot too, and that's important, that we ask for help, and that we get the help. And I got the help for so many people, and you were a key person in my life, because I mean, the concept that you have of a corporate escapology, probably at that time, I don't remember if you had the name of that,
No, it's sort of yeah.
but it was in the cooking, and you understood exactly what I needed, and probably for you, you saw it clearer than what I was looking at. It was so noisy, so cloudy, and sometimes it is clear for others that see you with that big cloud, and we don't. And I'm looking at my friends that were like me a year ago, and I said, just, give it a chance. Think it. I'm forwarding your blog all the time. Read this, because that's pretty much all the process that probably you and I through went through that first,
Yeah.
and some of our common friends went through that too.
Mm. Earlier than
And
us. Yeah. What are you doing now then? So you've got all this 24 years of experience. You've also had this blinding realization that the people that need you now are not the corporates that have got big teams and resources and policies in place and all sorts of things, much more standardization. It's the other side of the equation. So
exactly.
now you're helping those people. Tell us just what you're doing there. And Colibri, is that, I'm probably pronouncing it terribly. Tell me, it's
No, no,
hummingbird in English. Tell me
it's
what the
perfect.
consultancy is doing and how it's
It's
helping other people. Lovely.
it's Colibri business development, and in the hummingbird. It's a little tiny bird, so tiny but so powerful and gets so much strength. And hummingbirds also cross pollinate, help with the cross
Yeah.
pollination. And they go from flower to flower, flower to flower, flower to flower. And that's what I'm that's in a way that's what I'm doing with knowledge and with my experience. And instead of sucking up the juice from those flowers, I'm actually doing the kind of way they're reversing, but it's just visiting one flower to one flower. Just how can I help, and how can I do little tiny work, but that's going to make an impact. And that's where I feel that governments need a lot of help, need to have a strong, mm, let's say, like a strong position when they're going to negotiate and when they look for what is best for the country. And that's what I'm working a lot on, capacity building within the governments. How do they need to develop their local content policies? How can we best connect and partner with the operators? How can we help small suppliers? How can we develop the country and the supply market? And the whole thing is how can they bring, and how can we help them to bring economic prosperity to the country, bring energy security and all that. And I work on three areas. Of course, the workforce development, supplier development, and the technology transfer. Those are the key elements that I want to focus on even helping them with strategies, with advice, or how to even address complex challenges. In I last 2 weeks, I was in Cape Town for a conference, very very important conference. It's Africa Energy Week, and is kind of led by a great leader in Africa right now, NJ Ayuk. And it was amazing to find people that I met in the governments in places where we were with the operator, Mauritania, Ghana, Namibia, and South Africa, and they recognized me. They stopped me. Oh, Miss Forever, how you doing? Do you remember me? And then when I saw their name and their badge, oh my God, this is so good. And then in an elevator, how you doing? Is I heard now you're an independent. We would love to talk to you. That to me meant the world, because I know that, yeah, the company left because we left the operations but I stay there with them.
Oh, nice. But the
And
other thing that's sort of just being very practical about this is you had a brilliant network to draw
yeah,
on. And that network and the relationships you built with that network meant that when they knew you were available, because you were no longer working for Exxon, you could help them. And they're
exactly.
pulling you in, which is an amazing place to be, hugely de-risking your move from outside of the
Hmm.
corporate, because you know that there is a reasonable pipeline of opportunities there
Exactly.
for you, and you've got the skills and capabilities that means they're drawing on you because you've got something interesting and unique to offer them with your expertise and and the experience that you've got in implementing things as well as the
Yeah.
expertise and
And
knowledge.
that's, you mentioned something that I now use it to, not to promote myself, but in a way, yes, it is that I have a unique unique value in terms of how I understand local content and how can I help. And yeah, I mean, there are really not that many local content experts that are independent, and the ones that are, we all are connected, and we all kind of share the same vision. So we all learn from each other, and what we all want is the best for the host countries, because we all come from developing countries where we understand the reality and we want the best for our own countries. And so I'm right now doing a lot of things for other countries that I hope one day I get to do for my own. And then the other thing is about one element that helped me boost my confidence is that when I left ExxonMobil, they said, well, people were telling, be prepared, because once you don't have the red name on your business card, people are not going to see you the same, and you're going to, that's not true. To
So
me,
not true.
that is, I don't know what to call it, but that's
I
not true. To me, yeah, me too, but let's
But
leave it to the
it's a
imagination.
paranoia. It's a
It's a
paranoia that
paranoid.
we have, and maybe it sort of generates inside the company too. But my experience is it travels with you for decades. Not actually, that's my
Exactly.
direct experience. But I know people who left and still refer to their time at BP, or they were known at BP. So people in their heads still associate them with that
Yeah.
particular company. I think it carries with you,
And
and
it's
you get to use it when and how you want, rather than it just be I have to use this
exactly.
speak in the corporate lines the whole time because I'm part of that organization.
And in a way, it's part of who you are. I will never, forget, or will never honor the time that I was there and the opportunities I have. For me, I'm very thankful and very grateful. I was the one that decided to leave. So it was voluntary, and I was very clear. I'm not going to work for another company. I'm not moving to be close to family. I'm staying here. I just don't want to work here anymore. I want to do my own thing, and then I have my own independent firm, and I want to remain independent as much as I can, because I was talking to some friends yesterday that I I want to work. I want to play for one team, which is the country. That country has a lot of team players, but if I play for one team, let's say one of the stakeholders, then associated with that, and then do that. So I don't want to play for any team. I'm playing for the country. And if I can help all the different players, great. But I'm playing for the country, not for individual team players. And again, my little logo, my bird, actually has more power than any other red name, and I love it because my network was strong, and it's stronger than ever because I built it, and that comes with me.
Well, that is a lovely way to leave it. Thank you so much, Ileana. I really, really appreciate it. It's a great story, and I just hope it inspires people to not only recognize the skills and experiences that they have and they've built up over years, but also work out ways to look at it from a different perspective and say, actually, maybe I can help a customer this time, or maybe I can help a different stakeholder this time using what I've got. So it doesn't have to be, I'm going to do exactly what I did, but now
Exactly.
as an independent, actually, maybe there's a different person I can help more because of my knowledge and experience. I think it's a really, really powerful story and example.
Yeah.
So thank
And
you.
that's the freedom that I have, that I get to choose who to help. And if someone asks me for help, those are the best requests. So I love them, and I'll be happy to help. And please keep helping people like you helped me to get rid of that cloud of confusion and insecurity, and I don't know, but thank you.
Well, I
And I'm so
definitely will.
grateful.
Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Ileana.